United States Senate Inquiry, Day 5, Testimony of Robert Hichens regarding the sinking of the Titanic. The witness was sworn by the chairman, Senator Smith. Senator Smith. You have given your full name, Mr. Hichens? Yes, sir. What is your home address? 45 James Street, St. Mary's, Southampton. How old are you? 30, sir. Have you a family? Wife and 2 children. What is your business? Quartermaster. How long have you held such a position? For the last 7 or 8 years, sir. On what ship were you employed on April 14 last? I will change my question and maybe you can get it a little quicker. Were you filling such a position on the Titanic at the time when she suffered this collision? Yes. Were you at your post of duty the night of the collision? Yes. What was your post of duty? Where was it? At the time of the collision, I was at the wheel, sir, steering the ship. How long had you been at the wheel when the collision occurred? 1 hour and 40 minutes, sir. How long a watch did you have? We would have 4 hours watch, 2 hours standby and 2 hours at the wheel. I wish you would tell me now, in your own way, what occurred that night from the time you went on watch until the collision occurred. I went on watch at 8 o'clock. The officers on the watch were the second officer, Mr. Lightoller, senior in command, the fourth officer, Mr. Boxhall, and the sixth officer, Mr. Moody. My first orders were, when I got on the bridge, was to take the second officer's compliments down to the ship's carpenter and inform him to look to his fresh water, that it was about to freeze. I did so. On the return to the bridge, I had been on the bridge about a couple of minutes when the carpenter came back and reported the duty carried out. Standing by waiting for another message, it is the duty of the quartermaster to strike the bell every half hour. As the standby quartermaster, sir, I heard the second officer repeat to Mr. Moody, the sixth officer, to speak through the telephone, warning the lookout men in the crow's nest to keep a sharp lookout for small ice until daylight and pass the word along to the other lookout men. The next order I received from the second officer was to go and find the deck engineer and bring him up with a key to open the heaters up in the corridor of the officers' quarters. Also the wheelhouse and the chart room, on account of the intense cold. At 9:45 I called the first officer, Mr. Murdoch, to let him know it was 1 bell, which is part of our duty. Also took the thermometer and barometer, the temperature of the water, and the log. At 10 o'clock I went to the wheel, sir. Mr. Murdoch came up to relieve Mr. Lightoller. I had the course given me from the other quartermaster, north 71 west, which I repeated to him, and he went and reported it to the first officer or the second officer in charge, which he repeated back the course, sir. All went along very well until 20 minutes to 12, when 3 gongs came from the lookout, and immediately afterwards a report on the telephone. Iceberg right ahead. The chief officer rushed from the wing to the bridge, or I imagine so, sir. Certainly I am enclosed in the wheelhouse and I cannot see, only my compass. He rushed to the engines. I heard the telegraph bell ring, also give the order, hard a starboard, with the sixth officer standing by me to see the duty carried out and the quartermaster standing by my left side. Repeated the order, hard a starboard, the helm is hard over, sir. Who gave the first order? Mr. Murdoch, the first officer, sir, the officer in charge. The sixth officer repeated the order, the helm is hard a starboard, sir, but during the time she was crushing the ice, or we could hear the grinding noise along the ship's bottom. I heard the telegraph ring, sir. The skipper came rushing out of his room, Captain Smith, and asked, "What is it? What is that?" Mr. Murdoch said, "An iceberg." He said, Close the emergency doors. Who said that? The captain? Captain Captain Smith, sir. To Mr. Murdoch. Close the emergency doors. Mr. Murdoch replied. The doors are already closed. The captain sent then for the carpenter to sound the ship. He also came back to the wheelhouse and looked at the commutator in front of the compass, which is a little instrument like a clock to tell you how the ship is listing. The ship had a list of 5 degrees to starboard. How long after the impact or collision? I could hardly tell you, sir, judging roughly about 5 minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes. I stayed to the wheel then, sir, until 23 minutes past 12. I do not know whether they put the clock back or not. The clock was to go back that night 47 minutes, 23 minutes in one watch and 24 in the other. Had the clock been set back up to the time you left the wheel? I do not know, sir. I did not notice it. When do you say you left the wheel? At 20 minutes after 12? I left the wheel at 23 minutes past 12, sir. I was relieved by Quartermaster Perkis. He relieved me at 23 minutes past 12. I think the first officer or one of the officers said, that will do with the wheel, get the boats out. I went out to get the boats out on the port side. I think I got in number 6, sir, put in charge of her by the second officer, Mr. Lightoller. We lowered away from the ship, sir, and we were told to pull toward the light, which we stated to do, to pull for that light. I had 38 women in the boat, sir, 1 seaman, and myself with 2 male passengers, 1 Italian boy and a Canadian major who testified here yesterday. Were you in charge of that boat? I was, yes, sir. Everybody seemed in a very bad condition in the boat, sir. Everybody was quite upset, and I told them somebody would have to pull. There was no use stopping there alongside of the ship, and the ship gradually going by the head. We were in a dangerous place, so I told them to man the oars, ladies and all of you do your best. We got away about a mile, I suppose, from the ship, going after this light, which we expected to be a cod banker, a schooner that came out of the banks. A fisherman's boat? Yes, sir, we expected her to be that, sir, but we did not get any nearer the light. There were several other boats around us at this time, and one boat that had no light came close up to us. He had 4 to 6 men in his boat, and I borrowed 1 fireman from him to put in my boat to enable me to pull. We did not seem to get any nearer the light, so we conversed together and we tied our boats side by side. We stopped there until we saw the Carpathia have in sight about daybreak. The wind had sprung up a bit then, and it got very choppy. I relieved one of the young ladies with the oar and told her to take the tiller. She immediately let the boat came at wharf, and the ladies in the boat got very nervous. So I took the tiller back again and told them to manage the best way they could. Do you know who the woman was? I do not know, sir. They were all entire strangers to me, sir, but the lady, I refer to Mrs. Meyer, she was rather vexed with me in the boat, and I spoke rather straight to her, and she accused me of wrapping myself up in the blankets in the boat, using bad language and drinking all the whiskey, which I deny, sir. I was standing to attention, exposed, steering the boat all night, which is a very cold billet. I would rather be pulling the boat than be steering. But I see no one there to steer, so I thought, being in charge of the boat, it was the best way to steer myself, especially when I seen the ladies get very nervous with the nasty tumble on. We got down to the Carpathia, and I seen every lady and everybody out of the boat, and I seen them carefully hoisted on board the Carpathia, and I was then the last man to leave the boat. This is all I can tell you. I want to ask you a few questions. I would like to ask you whether you had any trouble with the Major between the Titanic and the Carpathia. I had no trouble with him at all, sir. Only once. He was not in the boat more than 10 minutes before he wanted to come and take charge of the boat. What did you say to him? I told him I'm put here in charge of the boat. I said, you go and do what you are told to do. Did he say anything more to you? I did not answer me. He did not answer me, sir, but sat down, went forward on the starboard bow, alongside of Seaman Fleet, who was working very hard. He done most of the work himself. Fleet was doing most of the work. That was the man who was in the crow's nest at the time the boat struck? Yes, sir. He was in your lifeboat too? Yes, sir. Did you lie on your oars of the Titanic at any time before the Titanic went down? Yes, sir. How long? Well, we had no time, sir. I could hardly tell you. About how long? That I could hardly tell you, sir, because our minds was thinking of other things, sir. I do not know. We did it, sir. How far were you from the Titanic at the time she went down? When we sat at the Carpathia, we were about a mile from her. No, when you were lying on your oars. About a mile, sir. About a mile from the Titanic? Yes, sir. Could you see the Titanic? I could not see her, not after the lights went out. No, sir. You could see the lights? We could see the lights go out. Yes, sir. And you know the location of the boat? We heard the cries for an interval of about 2 or 3 minutes. As the ship disappeared. As the ship disappeared, yes, sir. The Major, who was in that boat with you, said yesterday that you were lying on your oars drifting, and before the Titanic went down you heard cries of distress and for help. Is that true? I did not hear any cries as regarding distress. We heard a lot of crying and screaming. At one time we were made fast to another boat. We were not lying on our oars at all. During the time that you were lying off your oars and before the Titanic sank, did the woman in your boat urge you to go toward the Titanic? Not that I remember, sir. I am not aware of it. Did they urge you not to go toward the Titanic? Not that I'm aware of, sir. So far as you can recollect, did the woman say nothing either one way or to the other about it? No, sir, not that I remember. In fact, under the conditions, with one seaman in the boat and myself to pull a big boat like that, and being a mile away from the Titanic, I did not know what course to take. We had no compass in the boat. It seemed impossible, sir. The Major said yesterday when you were asked to return to the source from which the distress cries came, I read it in the paper, but this is continually false, sir. Did you said we are to look out for ourselves now and pay no attention to those stiffs, and never made use of that word, never since I have been born, because I use other words in preference to that. Did you say anything about it? Not that I am aware of, sir. And you wish the committee to understand that you did not refuse to go to the relief of people in the water, either before or after the Titanic disappeared? I could not, sir. I was too far away and I had no compass to go back to enable me to find where the cries came from. The cries I heard lasted about 2 minutes, and some of them were saying, "It is one boat aiding the other." There was another boat aside of me, the boat the master-at-arms was in, full right up. How long after you were lying on your oars was it that the Titanic went down? I could hardly tell you, sir. Did you instruct the men in your boat to row away from the Titanic after it went down? I did, sir. Why did you not row toward the scene of the Titanic? The suction of the ship would draw the boat, with all her occupants, under water, I thought, sir. Is that the sole reason you did not go toward the Titanic? I did not know which way to go back to the Titanic. I was looking at all the other boats. I was among all the other boats. What other boats? The lifeboats? We were all together, yes, sir. Why were you looking at the other lifeboats? We were looking at each other's lights. Did you have a light? I did, yes, sir. We all had lights and we were showing them to one another. The lifeboats all had lights, most all of us. We kept all showing our lights now and then to let them know we were here too. You made fast to another boat? What boat? The boat the master at arms was in, sir. I think it was number 8 boat. He left about the same time as we did. You had 38 women in your boat? Yes, sir, I counted them, sir. And how many men? I had Fleet, myself, Fleet, the major and yourself, and an Italian boy, sir. This is 4 men, 4, sir, but the Italian boy had a broken arm, sir. Was he the one who was hid away? I do not know how he managed to get on the boat at all, sir, I do not know. Was he dressed in woman's clothing? No, I don't think so, sir. Did you mean to tell me you would pass your time in showing one another your own lights, but did not go toward the Titanic? Yes, but before the Titanic sank, we were all pulling for a light which we thought was to be a cod banker. We all made for this light. You made up your mind it was not the boat you thought it was? You thought it was a fishing boat? We all thought so and all pulled for that light. You then pulled for that light and finally discovered you were making no progress toward it? Yes, sir. And you stopped? We stopped then, yes, sir. And at that time you were a mile away from the Titanic? Yes, sir, a mile or more, sir. And was the Titanic still afloat? The Titanic was still afloat, sir, and her lights all showing. How long after that you see her go down? I could hardly tell you. Probably 10 minutes. After that her lights disappeared, but I did not see her go down. You yourself did not see her disappear? No, sir. Was your back toward her? We could not see her at all. When I seen the lights disappear, that was all I could see because it was very dark. You sat at the tiller? I was standing at the tiller. With your back to the ship? Yes, sir. And you did not see her go down? No, sir. After the lights disappeared and went out, did you then hear cries of distress? We did hear cries of distress, or I imagine so, sir, for 2 or 3 minutes. Some of the men in the boat said it was the cries of one boat hailing to another. I suppose the reason they said this was not to alarm the women, the ladies in the boat. Did the Italians say that? The Italian could not speak. I'm not talking of our men, but the boat close nearby. Some other boat? Yes, sir. We were having conversation with them and the master at arms. You desire the committee to understand that you kept a safe distance from the Titanic after you got into the lifeboat. You made fast to the other lifeboat. You went away from the Titanic. About a mile you lay there on your oars. You saw the Titanic go down or saw the lights go out. And you did not go in that direction at all? We did not know what direction to go, sir. Did you, after the lights went out, go in the direction in which the lights were? When the lights were gone out, we were still heading towards this cod banker, all of us. That fishing boat was away from the Titanic's position? Yes, sir, a good way, sir. You were heading for that? Yes, sir. When you left the Titanic in a lifeboat, did anyone tell you to take that load off and came back to the Titanic? Yes, sir. Who told you that? I think it was the first officer or the second officer. I'm not sure which officer it was. Mr. Murdoch or Mr. Lightoller? One of them, I'm not sure which. What did you say? Alright, we was willing to pull away for this light, but when we get down we told him we had to have one more man in the boat. You wanted another man? We wanted 2 or 3 men more if we could get them. But you did not get them? No, sir, only this major. He came down, he got in then, and that is all. He swung himself out and got in, didn't he? Yes, sir. Did that call come back before the major got into the boat, or was it when you were away from the ship and rowing away? When I got down to the bottom, when we were lowered down in the water, we only had 1 man there, 1 seaman beside myself. Then you say it was the first or second officer called you to come back? He told us to go away and make for the light. We had them orders before we went down below. We know we know orders when we get to the water at all. We couldn't hear them. The orders you got were to take that boat to the water, to that light, to the light and return. Yes, sir, that is right. And that order was given to you by the first or second officer? Yes, sir. Was your lifeboat lowered from the port? From the starboard side? The port, sir. You did not carry out that order? Yes, I did, sir. What did you do? I pulled for that light, this imaginary light. We were pulling for it all the time. You pulled for this imaginary light? Yes, sir. And never returned to the side of the Titanic. We could not return, sir. I think I understand you. I want you to tell the committee, if you can, why you put the ship to starboard, which I believe you said you did just before the collision with the iceberg. I do not quite understand you, sir. You said that when you were first apprised of the iceberg, you did what? Put the helm to starboard, sir. This is the order I received from the sixth officer. What was the effect of that? The ship minding the helm as I put her to starboard. But suppose you had gone bows on against that object. I don't know nothing about that. I am in the wheelhouse and of course I couldn't see nothing. You could not see where you were going? No, sir, I might as well be packed in ice. The only thing I could see was my compass. The officer gave you the necessary order? Gave me the order, hard starboard. Hard starboard? Yes, sir. You carried it out immediately? Yes, sir, immediately, with the sixth officer behind my back, with the junior officer behind my back to see whether I carried it out, one of the junior officers. Is that the only order you received before the collision or impact? That is all, sir. Then the first officer told the other quartermaster standing by to take the time and told one of the junior officers to make a note of that in the logbook. That was at 20 minutes of 12, sir. You said it was pretty cold that night. Very intense cold, sir. What did that indicate to you? That you were in the vicinity of the Great Banks of Newfoundland? I do not know, sir. In the morning, when it turned daybreak, we could see icebergs everywhere. Also a field of ice about 20 to 30 miles long, which it took the Carpathia 2 miles to get clear from when it picked the boats up. The iceberg was up on every point of the compass, almost. It was very cold, sir. Freezing, I believe you said. Yes, sir. Did you yourself take the temperature of the air or water that night? Yes, sir. Where and when? About 10 minutes before I went to the wheel, sir. How did you take the temperature of the air? We have a bucket, sir, attached to a piece of line about 20 fathoms long, which we put over the lee side of the ship and draw just sufficient water to put the instrument in the cover, the mercury, to make its temperature rise. Is that a dipper or a pail? A small bucket leaded at the bottom. Was it attached to it, or a rope or a chain? Piece of line about as thick as your black lead pencil. Did you take that line and lower this bucket yourself? Yes, sir, when it was my duty to do so, I did it. You did it that night just before going to the wheel? Yes, sir. The bucket reached the water, did it? Certainly, sir. You took the temperature? Yes. What was it? I could not tell you at the present. Me, sir. We have to enter it up in the log book. Did you enter it? I did, sir. But you cannot remember what it was? I cannot remember, no, sir. Whether it was 0? No, sir, I know it was not 0. You cannot give us any idea about it? No, sir. You took the temperature of the air? We had to do this duty every 2 hours. The quartermaster was standing by. After that we don't take no notice of it. We write it down in the logbook for the junior officer, and it is copied off in the quartermaster's logbook. And it constitutes part of the logbook? Yes, sir, just as we take the barometer and the thermometer, and then the air of the temperature of the water and the like. And he took the temperature of both the water and air, but you do not remember how cold the water was or what temperature of the water was? No, sir. Do you remember what the temperature of the air was? No, sir. Oh, yes, sir. When did you take the temperature of the water and air? When had you done so before the time? The last watch on deck, when it was not my wheel, if I had the station of the bridge. When was it? What time was it? In the morning, the same watch in the morning, the 8 to 10 watch, Sunday morning. What did you find the temperature of the water and air at that time? Did you recall that? I do not know, sir. Do you recall whether you found it colder at night than you did in the morning? Yes, sir. I know the thermometer was down at 31 at 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. 31 and a half. That is the only thing I do remember. And both the water and the air were colder when you made the last test? Yes, sir. Then when you made the previous test? Certainly so, sir. What did that indicate to you? I had nothing to do with me. It does not concern me, whatever. What did you think? Did you think you were in the vicinity of ice when you found that water so cold? No, sir, I didn't think nothing about it. Had you heard you were in the vicinity of ice? I heard by the second officer when he repeated it. He sent me with his compliments to the ship's carpenter to look out for the ship's water, that it was freezing at 8 o'clock. Then I knew. I didn't know before, but I heard the second officer distinctly tell Mr. Moody, the sixth officer, to repeat through the telephone to keep a sharp lookout for small ice until daylight and to pass the word along for the other lookout men. You heard no officer say anything about icebergs or any ice field or growlers or whatever they call these things, except what you have described when he said it was freezing? Yes. Had you ever been over that course before? No, sir. Had you ever been among icebergs before? Yes, sir. Where? Up about Norway and Sweden and Petersburg and up the Danube. So they were not unfamiliar sights to you? No, sir. Did you have any way of your own by which you knew whether you were in the vicinity of icebergs? It began to get very, very cold, exceedingly cold. So cold we could hardly suffer the cold. I thought there was ice about somewhere. Did that indicate to you that you were in the vicinity of ice? It did not concern me. I had nothing to do with me at all. The officer has had to do with it. I am only a junior officer. I did not ask you that. I just asked you what you thought and not what you did. You had experience amongst these icebergs, and when you found it cold and getting colder at all the time in the North Atlantic, you reached the conclusion that you were coming to ice, did you? I thought so, sir. Did you say anything about it to anyone? No, sir. Was the bucket with which you dipped this water to make the test the bucket that was supposed with the Titanic? Or was it something you improvised that you found yourself with which did to do the work? It was a small paint thin, sir. Was it new or was it old? It was an old one, sir. An old one? One the quartermasters got for the occasion, because we had nothing else, sir. How was it fastened to the rope? Bent on, like any other ordinary thing. Bent on the handle just like a bent pin. How much water would that bucket hold? It would hold about a quart, sir, if it was full up. How much would the ordinary bucket hold that you would find on a ship of that character? They don't go... They didn't... They don't get no buckets at all. This is not the proper thing. The proper thing they use is a long piece of leather lead it the shape of that paper that is folded up on the table there. But but that you did not have? No, sir. Did you hear any reports made to the captain or officers as to water entering the ship? No, sir. Are you the man who was taken off the Lapland? Yes, sir. And transferred back to New York? Yes, sir, by the pilot boat. You were taken from what boat this morning in New York? The Celtic. I've been staying with the Celtic waiting for inquiry since last Saturday. When would the Celtic have sailed? Was supposed to have sailed tomorrow, sir. I've been there the last 4 days awaiting the inquiry, sir. You say you were taken off the Celtic? I was not taken off. I walked off. There was a man there. You were taken off the Lapland? Off the Lapland. I had no orders as to the inquiry when I went down to the Lapland. I was like all the reminders, sir. I am eager to go home and see my wife and children after a disaster of this description. But when I had orders, I waited. I was taken ashore, and I came ashore with the pilot boat. I had a letter directing me to the Celtic to wait there until I had orders to go, which I have done, sir. You are going back home on the Celtic as soon as the committee gets through with you? I should very much like to, sir. Are you going to ship as sailor and work your own passage back, or would the company pay it? I cannot very well do that yet. The company will have to do that, sir. Do you recall the testimony you gave as to the ship's position or course? The course was north 70 west, sir. Is that by the steering compass? That is by the compass the quartermaster was steering by in the wheelhouse, sir. By the true course? The course in the standard compass and steering compass vary 2 or 3 degrees, I think, sir. But the course we get and the course the officers get is different. We repeat our course to the officers at sea every quarter hour, and every so often that we are always on our course. The captain comes around 3 or 4 times every 5 minutes, say, you left the wheelhouse that Sunday night at 23 minutes past 12. Were you relieved at the wheelhouse? I was relieved at the wheel by Quartermaster Perkis. He took the wheel from me. Did he survive? Yes, all the quartermasters survived, sir, having charge of boats. Your watch had not expired? My watch had expired, yes. When he relieved you? Yes, sir. It was my watch to go below then. Did you have daily drills with the lifeboats? Yes, sir. Fire drills and lifeboat drills every day, is that customary? I did not see them. The only thing I saw was the emergency boat. There is one emergency boat on each side of the bridge, just above the bridge, which is kept in case of accident, always swung out. There was a daily drill for the emergency boat? Yes, at 6 o'clock in the evening usually. You know, do you not that the second officer and other officers say that there were no daily drills, that the only drill took place at Southampton when 2 lifeboats were lowered? Yes, as regards drilling, that is true, sir, but what I am talking about is the emergency boat. They mustered the men every night at 6 o'clock in case of emergency, in case they should want the emergency boat on account of a man falling overboard or anything else. Do they muster these men every night at 6 o'clock? Yes, sir. Where? On the bridge. They muster them there with an officer. And what do they do? Lower the boat? No, I have never seen them to do that. I've been in the wheelhouse at the time. You did not see them? No, but I heard the report and I have seen the officer as I was going to the wheelhouse, and one evening I might be on the dock watch from 6 to 8 o'clock. But you do not know what they did, whether they lowered the boat to the water? No, sir. And that is the drill you refer to? No, I'm not referring to any drill. I am only referring to the mustering of the men at 6 o'clock. How many men are mustered? About 8, I think. 6 seamen and the quartermaster and an officer. Every night at 6 o'clock? Yes, sir. But they go to these two boats, and one on the port side and one on the starboard side? Yes, sir. And what do they when they get there? And what they do when they get there? Do you know of any of your known knowledge? No, sir. The boat is always kept in readiness to be gotten out at a moment notice and at a case of accident. Do you say you have made arrangements to go back to the Cedric? No, sir. I have not made any agreements at all. I am awaiting orders like all other men. You would like to go? If I possibly could? Yes, sir. It seems to be the judgment of my associates that you should be permitted to go. Is there any further you would like to say? I would like to make a little statement as regarding Mrs. Mayer's statement in the newspapers about my drinking the whiskey, sir, and about the blankets. I was very cold, sir, and I was standing up in the boat. I had no hat on. A lady had a flask of whiskey or brandy or something of that description, given her by some gentleman on the ship before she left, and she pulled it out and gave me about a tablespoonful, and I drank it. Another lady who was lying in the boat, in the bottom of the boat, in a rather weak condition, gave me a half a wet and half dry blanket to try keep myself a little warm, and I was half frozen. I think I was very I think it was very unkind of her, sir, to make any statement criticizing me. When we got to the ship, and I handled everything as carefully as I could, and I was the last one to leave the boat, and I do not think I deserve anything like that to be put in the papers. That is what upset me and got on my nerves. Now, Mr. Witness, you have made a special request to be permitted to go. I would like to know from you, if you do go on the boat tomorrow back to England, whether you will return here if the committee desires to have you. I will, sir. Yes, sir. And we may communicate with the White Star Line officers, and you will hold yourself in readiness to return? Yes, sir. That is all, and that their suggestion, they seem to be muted about it, you can be excused. Senator Byrne, that is, you can go back to England. Mr. Curlin, do you include, Mr. Chairman, the other seamen who are similarly situated, who have been examined? They are most anxious to go home. Senator Smith, who are they? Mr. Curlin, they are Mr. Fleet, the man who was in the other boat, and the steward. Senator Smith, I do not examine the steward. I only asked him a question or two in New York. Is that Mr. Crawford? Mr. Curlin, could any of the officers be allowed to go? Senator Smith, no, not so far as I am concerned. I would not consent to have them go now, and I do not want to release Mr. Fleet now. And I have not finished with Mr. Crawford.